that we are just we are just angry people. Yeah, it is from my mom, it's from my dad. Yeah, yeah, that's what I do. It's just who I am. Hey friends, have you ever stopped and think, why do I do this? Or even deeper, why does everyone in my family do this? Today, I would like to talk about generational patterns. The kind that don't, it always goes unnoticed and it's always subtle. They show it up in like relationships, our mindsets, our habits, and sometimes in how we lie to ourselves and lie to other people. Let me take you back to a story. 3 generations of one of the families, and each had a really, really strange habit of lying, and not even like anything big or major, but just kind of like a weird, obvious lies, and they felt like it was for survival. The first one says, "That's not my wife, that's not my sister." That's a really subtle sort of lie, nothing major, it's not that deep. You might know exactly who I'm talking about. That was Abraham. Then his son Isaac said exactly the same lie. Same fear, right? By the time he got to Jacob, it was no longer a surviving tool, but rather it became a lifestyle for Jacob. He lied to get his blessings, to get ahead, to win. It becomes like the normal behavior, almost like a pattern that it became part of him. And you see, it's not just about the lie, it's about the pattern that had come before him, that was already modeled by Abraham, then was modeled by Isaac. And then that particular mindset gets passed down, even like unconsciously. I think you agree with me. We all inherit things, right? Not just money or culture. We inherit behavior, mindsets, and reaction. Something that's small may end up having like really, really big consequences. At the end of the day, because it kind of like, if you're going on to read about this tree, you get to realize the impact of that one small lie did, and how that it almost seems like it doubled by generation, because now it became just a pattern. Let me be real with you. There's something that I used to really do, and I just never really known why. So I used to hate nails, right? Long nails. So I would just, I can't stand it, right? And then I realized that my dad actually hated long nails. Now, you are sitting there thinking like, what is that got to do with anything? Like, you're like, it's just like you hate nails, it's just a preference. But the truth is, it did not actually stop there. When I got overwhelmed or became so antsy and things like that, I would chew my nails. Right? So there's the behavior is I hate long nails. So the closest thing that I could do or controlled is my nails. So I would chew them. And I'll chew them in meetings. I'll chew them around people, important people. So I'm there probably in their mind, like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, she need help or something? It was so bad. I look at my hands and I feel so embarrassed and ashamed, because like at the end of the day, you see like the nails there, you would just see it looks so messy, because I've peeled also my just my skin around there and all of that. It's just really silly thing that I would do. It's not silly, but like I would do that obvious all the time. Then one day it hit me that it was more than just a habit. It was almost like a pattern that was within me, like a pattern that was actually tied to anxiety and tied to, actually weirdly, perfectionism and needing to have control over and over. And here's the thing, it's almost like I didn't choose to be like that. I just always remember I could just do that. And here's the thing, we can't actually choose our consequences. Like if I walk into a boardroom when I would just chew my nails, but I can't choose the reactions of people and how they perceive me. I need people to perceive me in a particular way, in a professional manner. But if I'm acting like and chewing my nails and it looks all weird and stuff, then like there is a perception, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, there would be a perception about me. So eventually I started working on it slowly, 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 over time. And I intentionally had to. It wasn't like, when it comes to these generational patterns, it's not like you could just be like, yes, I will do it, and then all will work out. It doesn't work like that. You literally have to be intentional and show up. And the more I did it, I felt so much free. And eventually, I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even remember when I stopped. But I don't remember, it was years ago. I just all of a sudden, I stopped because it kept just going into other things. Like there was fruit that was bare from all this, just this tiny thing, because it's now become this whole pattern with me, you know? So here's a question I would like to ask you today. What's a generational pattern that might be holding you back? Is it anger that never gets talked about? The silence that runs so deep in the family that you are just like, we are just angry people. When people say that we are just we are just angry people. Yeah, it is from my mom, it's from my dad. Yeah, yeah, that's what I do. It's just who I am, you know you feel that, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, like, it makes, like, these generational patterns, they sometimes like really control you to the point where you're like, it's you, but it's not you. You're not meant to be like that. God created you perfect being, like, what I mean, I don't mean like perfect, don't get me wrong, like not weird stuff. But God created you in a perfect manner, perfect, amazing human being. So it's like, where are we getting these things from and all of that? So obviously it's coming from that generational patterns. Even like, I know that some family, silence runs so deep that it won't allow them to be vulnerable, to actually break those things that are there, that are not keeping, giving peace and things like that. Because at the end of the day, it's almost like you become a prisoner of these patterns or generational patterns. But it's almost, you can't just sleep and say, oh, me, I will pray, and then at the end of the day everything will work out. It will not work it out. You gonna have to work on it, and you have to be purposeful, because honestly, it's more, there is more peace in suffering for a short time and actually breaking that generational pattern. And it's really, really important to just think about that. But whatever it is, you don't have to actually carry it. You first have to recognize it, what it is. You have to reflect and say, what's a generational pattern that's actually holding me back to move forward? Then, you when you pay attention, you're gonna start realizing, right? There's a scripture in the Bible that says that to protect your heart, because that's pretty much like where all your life decisions come from, right? When you feel like something is like a bit off within your soul, within your heart, like, you want to like note that and pull that, because you're gonna find out pretty quickly that in every pattern, that thing is there. It's rotting. It doesn't stay the same. I wish I could say that my nails thing stayed in one thing. It literally kept going. It kept going. It now jumped to something else. It's crazy. It doesn't stay the same. That's why it's like, it invades every part of your life, to the point where you now become your own, like, it become your own prisoner. Can you imagine that? Oh my goodness, that's some crazy stuff. You become a prisoner of your own mind, which is kind of sad when you think about it. But I do believe so strongly that we are able to break these generational curses. If we can inherit good stuff from our families, if we can inherit good smile, good genes, good values and things like that, that means we're able to break these generational patterns. We have to actually choose to do these things intentionally and whatnot, and not just like sleep on it. And yes, absolutely, it would be unrealistic to say that you can break every generational pattern all at once. No, you work on it, so that you don't have to deal with it. Because let's say you are planning on having kids and things like that. If you don't break it, you're going to find yourself in that trial, and that thing may come back to you, to an extent, because you are still alive and you're still, by God's grace, still alive. You're able to see it in that child, and then in a way, like it's almost like you're going to see your own a little bit of a distraction, and you're like, I don't want it, I don't want it. You know what I mean? I could only imagine how Abraham would have felt, or Jacob, potentially. I don't know what happens afterwards, or Isaac would have felt about it. So here's something today. Let us be brave and ask the question, this deep, deep question. What's one pattern in my life that ends with me? Like, what's that one thing that you are like, I'm gonna work on it this week, or try to identify it and break it this week? Let me know in the comment section. You don't have to, but share it with a tribe, share it with a friend, share it with somebody, about it, and let's start breaking this. I believe in you. You got this. I'm also breaking my own generational patterns. You know what I'm saying? See you absolutely in the next video. I hope you have a lovely week. Bye.